So now that you've been introduced to MOOCs, you know what providers are out there, what courses are being offered, and what types you can take. You're probably wondering, well, who's using these MOOCs today? And this will be part of Module 4, MOOCs today. To start you off, we look at some research done by Christensen et al. In 2014 and Glass et al. In 2016, just at the end of last year. They studied several different groups of students that were taking MOOCs in the United States last year, looking at the demographics, the socioeconomic status, the gender, the age, and the education level of these students, just to name a few. Now, what did they find? Surprisingly, they found that 83% already had a post-secondary degree. Most of these students tend to be young, well-educated, and employed people in developed countries like the United States and Canada. Women were especially underrepresented in developing and BRICS countries. That goes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. In developed countries, it was more of a 50-50 split, but they were extremely underrepresented in these countries here. What was the main reason for these students to be taking the MOOC? They're just looking to advance their current job and out of curiosity. And these curious students tended to be in the humanities and social science courses, and these were more business analytics and science courses. An interesting fact they found was educators represented a quarter of these respondents, and also answered the most comments and blog posts on these courses, so they were the most active out of all the students. How many of these students are located in different regions of the world? Well, a third are from the United States, 1/3 are from Europe, and only a third are from developing countries. So the main picture that we're looking for you to get out of this is these MOOCs aren't really hitting the students that they were once hoped to be, which were those students in developing countries who didn't have access to higher education. So we asked, well, where are these students? What are they doing? Is it they don't have access to the internet? They can't afford certification in some of these courses? Or are they just way too busy with family and employability? Well, Tasha at the University of Washington conveniently asked the same question. TASHA stands for Technology and Social Change Group. They surveyed 1,400 MOOC users and 2,250 non-users in that low to middle age in Colombia, the Philippines, and South Africa. Those countries all have an HDI of about 0.5, which is kind of middle group, so you would consider them developing countries. They found that less than half of these people surveyed had a post-secondary degree, and 4 out of 5 respondents were low or medium income. Totally different finding than what Christensen and Glass had found, which they thought were generalized results. Now, of these users, 49% of people completed their courses. In developed countries, that number is as low as 1 to 2%. But that's amazing, because we're seeing in these developing countries, about half of them actually complete their courses when they register, which is very good news. And this number even goes up to 70% when they're employed. Now, you might think the reason that a lot of these students can't register in these courses, well, they don't have access to technology. They can't afford it. Actually, 80% of these surveyed people had access to the internet at home or work or on mobile. And the greatest reason for not enrolling was actually lack of time with family and their job. So to compare and contrast these two research groups is that those two first papers that we looked at are not generalizable to the rest of the world. And that was a common conception in academia up until Tasha released their research, that the people using these courses were well-educated, white, wealthy people in developed countries. And this might have been caused by them using the Harvard courses and Stanford courses, and courses not available, for example, in Spanish or Tagalog like they use in the Philippines. And all this to bring you back to the original goal of MOOCs, which was to deliver a borderless, gender-blind, race-blind, class-blind, and bank account-blind education so everyone in the world could use it. Now that you've completed Module 4, MOOCs today, please go and complete the quiz question, and if you have trouble with those, please review this module. Thank you.